Hello guys, Keyword here and welcome back to the Python series, and hope you guys are loving this series. And if you are doing so, please like, please share and please subscribe to my channel just to keep you motivated. So now let's move ahead with our series, and what we are going to discuss in this video will be a concept called as looping in Python or looping in programming. So first we will discuss what is looping, and then we will move towards the looping in Python. Okay, so in this we will discuss there are two types of looping in Python. There is a for loop and a while loop. I know you guys are not understanding anything what I am trying to say right now, but once we dive deep into these things, you will be understanding that. So before that, let's roll the intro and let's catch up with our machines ready and let's write some code. So let's try and understand first the concept of looping. So let's directly start start the coding and take a basic example. So first let's create a new file and let me name it as loops. Now let's say there is a requirement that I want to print hello world for 20 times. Now if you might be thinking that why I want to do that, I also don't know. I want to print hello world 20 times. So what will be the procedure for that? So what I will be doing is I will write print inside that hello world, and then again I will write print hello world, and again I will write print hello world. And you guys might be thinking why I am writing this again and again. If I want to do that 20 times, I should write this once and copy and paste it for the rest of the times. Yes, that is also a solution, but not in programming. Even that is a time-consuming task, right? If I want to write hello world 20 times, the typing it 20 times is a very lengthy procedure and not acceptable at all. Again, if you want to take some shortcut using copy paste, still it is time consuming. You have to copy and you have to paste and you have to count whether you have reached 20 or not. So again, Python and programming have got your back with the concept of looping. What looping does, it will help if you want to do some task iteratively or repeatedly. So looping will help you to do that very easily. What looping will do, that it will iterate through the block of the code that you want to do repeatedly or that you want to iterate just with few lines of code. So in this video we will discuss about for loop that will help us accomplish this task. So let's try with the for loop. So now what is a for loop? Again, for loop, the for thing is a keyword. So first let's try and understand the syntax of for loop. So the syntax goes like that. For here will be a iterable variable. So this is the syntax for iterator variable. Then there is a in keyword. Remember we discussed the in keyword, the membership operator. Yeah, this is the same. So for iterable variable in sequence and statements. So this is the syntax of for loop. So let's try and break it down and understand. Now what is this for? We want to use for loop, so we have to use the keyword for. Okay. Now what is this iterable keyword? So this iterable keyword is a variable. Is a variable, and since it is a variable, you can name it anything. Okay, the very famous two variables that are used as iterators are I and x, but you can use anything. Even you can use your name. So what are these variables? These are the variables that will be initialized with some value, and then they will iterate through, and they will once they will execute the statements, the value will be incremented by 1. Okay. So these are the iterator variables. Now this it will check for the membership whether it is in that sequence or not, and this is some sequence. Now what is this sequence? This sequence can be anything. It can be an array. In Python we don't have array, we have list. So it can be an array, a tuple, it can be a database, or it can be anything that we can iterate through to find something, or we can do something iteratable task. Even this sequence can be a string. So we will see all that with some examples. So this is the syntax of for loop. So before writing some code for loop, I will like you to introduce to one more concept called as a range function. Now what is this range function? First let's write again the syntax for the range function. So range again, it's a keyword, so function name, and this takes three arguments. First is start, stop, and step. So the step one is optional. You have to provide with start and stop. Now what are this start, stop, and step? So the start, stop, and step are the numbers that you provide. The start will be the starting range, the stop will be the stopping range, and the step will be, as we discussed once before, the step will be a value that will be incremented with that step. Let's say we have a range from 1 to 7, and if the value of step is 2, then the numbers that we will have is 1, 3, 5, and 7. And if we don't provide any step, the default value will remain 1, so it will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is basically the range function. So let's try and experiment with the range function. So let's write range and 0 and 6, and let's try and run this. Let's see what happens. Nothing happened, right? Because we haven't write inside the print function. So let's try. Will it work? Let's try. Print, and okay, and print is inside the range function. Now let's run it. Again, it is directly printing print range 0 and 6. And this is not what we were expecting, right? We were expecting it to print starting from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But why it is happening? We need to explicitly typecast it, because whatever it will return, it will be a set of values, right? So we will have to store it in some array. We don't have again arrays in Python, so where we'll store it? We will need some list to store it, and we have discussed list a few times before in the series. I know I haven't discussed a whole chapter on or whole video on list, but we will do that later. I have kept it aside intentionally, but until now we know that how to declare a list. So for this we will just typecast it to the list. Okay, so again we have discussed the concept of typecasting. So with that knowledge, let's move ahead and let's just typecast it to list, and let's close this. Now try and run. Let's try and run this. Now it's printing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is what we were expecting, right? So this is all about the range function, and you can again use some step inside it and experiment with it. Remember, programming is all about experimenting, it's all about thinking. So never give up on experimenting. You will surely get errors, but errors will make you real programmers. Okay, so let's come back to the topic and let's talk about for loop. Now let's write a for loop to print hello world, let's say 5 times. So for I, again this is an iterator variable, it can be anything. In let's say we have range, again range function, and we have to print it, let's say 5 times. So range will be 0 to 6 or 0 to 5. And here again in the range function we have discussed in Python, the second argument is always explicit. So it will count from 0 to 4 rather than counting from 0 to 5, because the 5 will be exclusive and the 0 to 4 is inclusive. Again, here if you notice that here a block of a code is created. So as this we have discussed a few times until now, so you should understand that what is happening and why it is happening. And here we want to do is print hello world, and let's try and run this and let's see what happens. Whoa, hello world was printed 5 times and our problem was solved. So what was our problem? To print hello world 20 times. So let's do that. So here the range will be 20, and let's try and run it again, and it has printed hello world 20 times. So rather than typing the same statement 10 times, or rather than copy pasting, you can use loop. Whenever you want to do some task repeatedly, remember you have got your back. Programming has got your back, Python has got your back with the for loop. Okay, so now let's take some more examples. So let's just erase this. Okay, otherwise let me create a new file. Just keep this for you guys to reference, and let's create a new file, and again new Python file. Let's name it as for, and let's write first a code. So for I in range 0, 5. And here what we'll do is we'll just directly print I. So here what will be the output will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. As we discussed that I is an iterator variable, it will start from 0 and it will be incremented with each iteration. Since let's verify that 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we understand that phi is exclusive. But here everything is coming on new line, right? Let's say I want to print it in the same line. How will I do? Here we will have to manipulate the print function. How? Let's see. Just click on the print function and just here you can see go to implementation. So here this is the implementation or the code that is written. As we were discussing, print is an inbuilt function. You have not written it. It is already written in Python. So this is the code you can refer. So this is the print function. Let's see what parameters it takes. It is here itself. We will surely discuss about what it is when we move towards object-oriented programming in the course. And then here this is args. Don't play anything at all with all these things. Right now our requirement is to print all these things in the one line. Here we can see that here we have a parameter n backslash n. The backslash n stands for the new line. So why the for loop is printing everything on new line? Because with every iteration this backslash n is called, and with every iteration everything is printed on the new line. Again, if it has iterated once, then it will again go to the new line. So let's say that we want to print it on the same line. So we will have to modify the value of this n. So how we will do it? So print. So this is the first parameter. Then here we will pass as n equals to, and in here we will pass as, let's say we want semicolon. We want them to be separated by semicolon, or let's say we want them to separated by separated by a comma. Let's try and run this, and here we can see that it was printed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the same line. Isn't that great that you can manipulate the print function as well? So there are a lot more things in this documentation, if you can see, but don't but don't touch any of the other parameters right now in this beginner course. Just try and manipulate this n functions. Again, you can put your, if you want semicolon, and let's try and rerun it, and here we have it. Okay, so you can manipulate that n parameter. Don't manipulate anything else right now. Okay, so now we have understood this. So let's create another file and let's try and discuss more on the for loops. For underscore new, that's a very bad name for a file, but let it be. So again, let's write some code for I in now here we will have a string. Okay, so for I in hello world, and let's print I, and it will print HELLOWORLD, hello world. Now why is it exactly doing that? Remember the definition of string. Definition of string is a sequence of characters, and that is the syntax of for loop, right? That for iterator variable in a sequence, and string is also a sequence. Thus we can iterate through a string as well. So this was a very basic example. So now let's take a discussion a little bit ahead on to the advanced part. So now what we will do is we will create a list. I know again we haven't discussed on list much, but we know how to create list, right? We have done it a few times. So let's create a list of the fruits. Let's say we will have some 2 to 3 fruits inside it. So first let's create a list, or let's name it as fruits, and okay, the spelling of fruits, and how a list is created using a square brackets. Now let's fill some values. So mango, this is everyone's favorite, cherry, and let's say we have apple. So this is our list of fruits. Now let's say we want to iterate it. Again, we discussed that using the for loop we can iterate through a sequence, right? So let's iterate it. So how it will be? So for I in, now there will be a sequence name, right? In the syntax it is for iterator variable in sequence. So your iterator variable in is I, and what is our sequence? Our sequence is fruits, right? So in fruits, let's print I. So let's run it again, and here we can see it has iterated mango, cherry, apple. Again, if you want all this on the same line, you can manipulate the print function as we discussed. So this was the list with the for loops. So let's do something more. Let's say when we encounter cherry, let's say we are searching for cherry, whether cherry is there in the list fruits or not. Let's say right now we have just a list of 3, but assume that we have a list of 100 fruits inside it, and you want to check whether particular thing is there or not. So again, checking for it individually is a hectic task. So implement your skills. What we learned is iteration. We have learned if we want to do some task repeatedly, we can use for loops. So let's say I want to find cherry in a list of 100 fruits. How we'll do? We will use our programming skills and write code for it using for loop. So the first line remains the same for I in fruits, and what we will do is if I is equals to cherry. Now what is this line? We understood that I will be iterated into the list for the number of the times or into the length of the list, and it will be incremented by 1 after every iteration, right? So if I is iterating through the whole list, so I will encounter one value every time, right? And it was printing in the previous example that one value, then again it was incremented by 1, it went onto the new line, and then again the value of I was changed and it was printed. So here what is our requirement is we will check if I is equals to cherry, then print cherry found, and again if we will also have else, so write else print no cherry. So let's try and run this program and let's see whether what we wanted is happening or not. Okay, so it is going cherry, no cherry, no cherry. So it is printing it all the time, right? So we won't do it like that. So what we will do is for I in fruits, if I is equals to cherry. Okay, so here we don't need this else statement because else statement was inside the for loop, right? Our requirement is that if I is equals to cherry, print cherry found. And why it printed no cherry again and again? Because remember it was in loop. So first time when I was checked, the I was having the value mango, and since mango is not equals to cherry, so the else part was executed. So let's write the else part outside the for loop, or then how to go outside the for loop? Just go outside the indentation. So let's write else print no cherry, and I hope now the error will be solved. Cherry found, no cherry. Okay, again still we are having some problem here. First it didn't did. Okay, let's try and rerun it again. Cherry found, no cherry. So print still it's printing no cherry, right? So if we have found this, then this should be ignored. It is not ignoring it right now. So let's see what is happening here for I in fruits. If I is equals to cherry, bring cherry, else cherry was not found, but we have found the cherry. So okay, so here let me introduce you to a new keyword. We haven't discussed it right now, but here I need to introduce you to that statement. So let's say we have encountered this error again, right? Here what we have seen that if the value is equals to cherry, first for the I is equals to mango, the value was not equals to cherry. But then if it was equals to cherry, we need to stop the loop. That is, we need to break the loop, right? Otherwise, if we don't break the loop, then I will be equal to mango and this else part will be executed. So for that we have a break keyword. So whenever we want to break the loop intentionally, so let's say here our requirement is that we need to break the loop intentionally, right? Because we need to break the loop intentionally, because once we have found cherry, we don't need to iterate through the list again, because our requirement was to find cherry, and once we have got it, so just skip everything. So here we have the break statement, and we understand that break statement will break the loop. So just write break is a keyword, thus it is highlighted. So now let's try and run this again, and let's see whether our problem was solved or not. And here we have got finally cherry found. Okay, happens. Sometimes in programming you will find errors, and it is all about your programming skills, that how you solve those errors. And right now we found an error, and I am happy that we came across that error, because we with the help of that error we came across a new concept and learned something new called as break, right? So wasn't that interesting? So try something more, experiment with this again what we have learned until now, and let's catch up in another video where we'll be talking more about looping. but with a different perspective. So until then, keep writing quality code, and let's catch you up in the next video.